to talk about healing hearts and bringing joy through immersive innovations. Why do we talk about healing hearts? Why do we talk about joy and innovation? Because if all that we do and all that we innovate is about product delivery, we've missed the mark. To me and to many of us at GatherVerse, that joy and happiness is so much more, or for why we innovate in the first place. Thank you, Dominique. Our gather was well. We bring the next panel now. May our gather be well.
And we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for a wonderful day one of GatherVerse XR Summit. And we plan on finishing strong with a very important topic, healing hearts and bringing joy through immersive innovations. I'm your moderator of this panel, Christian Brown. I'm the wellness director here at GatherVerse, the founder and CEO of Blemish, a mental health startup, and also the author of the Positive Affirmation Guide, Healing and Growing. And I'm so excited to have our panel here today. Let's start with some intros. Why don't we? Let's go around the horn. Please give a brief introduction of who you are, what you're working on, and let's keep going. Let's start with Mary Lee.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Christian. I'm so excited to be part of this. My name is Mary Lee. I am with Parker University in Dallas, Texas, and we've been using extended reality and various versions of that for our students, particularly our chiropractic students, but our other healthcare students. So I'm just really excited to share about some of my own personal experience with XR and also with our students.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Jens Kuhl. I'm a media artist and co-founder of Lucid World. I am working at the forefront of innovation as an artist, not necessarily dipping into conventional concepts of creating with the tools that I'm provided with through the innovation that's now exploding exponentially. I try to find new angles of reality.
Thank you, Jens.
And I'm Jamal Thomas of Create the Future AI. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you, Chris and Christian. I'm pretty new to the XR space, but uber excited. I've been paying attention to it for a very long time. I'm focused more in on AI and now paying attention to some of the areas in which those two things are going to connect. And I just picked up a project with a very good friend of mine. Actually, he runs some behavioral health centers in New Jersey, and we are looking at ways to bring various different mindfulness apps and apps that have a focus in on really helping people that some that are severely mentally ill find ways to healing. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of the things that we're doing, as well as learning from all you good folks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Yurachek, founder of Parallel Worlds. Thank you so much for having me today. What I'm really passionate about and what we really act out at Parallel Worlds is meaningfully bridging our physical and digital worlds. We do this by cloud hosting a digital twin of Earth, and then we give everyone their own presentation layer to reshape their reality. So essentially real world metaverse and helping businesses and individuals deploy immersive media content in reality.
Awesome. Thank you for those intros. I'm excited to dive into our conversation today. And I plan on being a bit flexible with these questions, if that's okay. But let's get into the first one, which is how can immersive technologies transform the therapeutic landscape for mental and emotional health? And I would like to broaden this up by saying, how can immersive technologies transform not just the therapeutic landscape, but also the education landscape of mental and emotional health? Because I believe the first step to a mental wellness journey is awareness. Self-awareness that involves being educated on what is going on in your heart and mind. And so to that, I'd like to start with Mary Lee, with your background in both medical and education. How do you think we can use immersive technologies to transform the landscape?
Well, I think one of the ways that, again, as you referenced, is just making us more aware. We are using an application with some of our students that specifically are dealing with patient encounters. And one of those is a patient, an avatar patient who has expressed suicidal ideations. And the last thing we want our students to do is to experience that in a true patient setting and either not be in a position to know what to do or just to feel really awkward and uncomfortable. So some of the feedback that we've gotten from our students is that it really made them, number one, more aware of the holistic nature of patient care, in that it's not just a disease or an injury that's there to be resolved. It's actually a whole patient who may have other issues that may come up in the course of an examination. So that's one of the ways that we really see VR and XR as a way of giving them a safe place to learn those skills and to experience what that might be like.
Thank you for that, Mary Lee. Jens, would you like to take a shot at this as well?
Yes, sure. I can say with ease that I faced mental health problems myself, and I had the huge possibility with XR to actually heal certain aspects of these problems by creativity. And what we have now available, and I hope that this availability is extending in the next few years to people who struggle with, for instance, with certain mental problems, that they can just really explore what actually reality means and means to them, because you can simulate certain scenarios and you can just plain dip into the dark sides, the shadow sides of the psyche, and explore and go for the light, and understand how hope and creativity, actually working with your hands, is a huge solution to the problems humanity faces. I think it's the basic solution to really get to work with our hands creatively and constructively and collectively, and having then this bounce off with peers and showing that to other people, and facing critique and really getting to the deeper talks, energetic talks. That's where I feel the emotional health and mental health problem can be tackled with. And I find it to be very helpful to use these tools.
Yeah, I mean, I love what was stated there, specifically around creativity. Most of my work has actually been done in the education field and working with young people. And I often say, like, what if we were to go to schools and say to kids, what is it that you want to create today? And then we help them do that. What if that was all that we did? Maybe we from a social and emotional perspective, where now we're trying to fit SEL into the curriculum somewhere, when really we need to be fitting the curriculum into SEL. And if kids walk through that type of process from the beginning, maybe they won't need any therapeutic, interventions and things to that effect, because they will learn from a young age exactly the way to be in touch with their emotions. And I'm excited about some of the tools, because like when a lot of these schools in the South Bronx and places like that, they don't have any real art programs and things to that effect. And granted, they also don't have these devices. So, hoping people can continue to help, support in that regard. But when they do utilize them, I played around with the art thing, and I'm not an artist in any way, shape, form, or fashion, but I felt fantastic, being able to just move my hands and create something 360 degrees around me. There's a wonderment that comes with it, and that wonderment, I think, just opens up eyes for possibilities for young people. And then, once their eyes are open, who knows what they're going to be able to see.
Well, that was so well said by everybody else. I'll just pile in more on the technical side. Is looking at social media and the way that we've kind of been connecting and the realms that we've been connecting with each other, especially the youth who have really grown up with these technologies their whole lives now. A lot of the interactions that have occurred have been very unhealthy. And they've trained this type of behavior where it's almost viewing the world with a zero-sum game, like a like or a follow that someone gets is a like or a follow that I didn't get. And so we're comparing ourselves to others in ways that's somewhat unhealthy and not allowing for what everyone else has kind of discussed here is going inward with that curiosity, right? And always remaining malleable to new things and elastic to new things. And that's what we often lose as we get older and we get some of the baggage and we get into the system, is we lose that childlike curiosity that provokes the necessity to get retrained and reskilled in a world that is rapidly moving forward. So this was said earlier by Chris on our previous discussion. But the world is moving at light speed, and technology is not slowing down, and companies cannot go through digital transformation every few days. So they're going to have to start to build an infrastructure that can breathe with the state of innovation. And I think when we talk about consumption and products, people aren't going to necessarily stop buying products or stop engaging in social media. But we need to kind of change out the funnels and make sure that it's not so much this advertising or we're showing you how to do this paradigm. It's more of a value add. So we can move from a state of consumerism to prosumerism, producer consumerism. So we can have healthy consumption while also being more of an active player within that community or business or commerce ecosystem.
Yeah, I love those expressions, and it sounds like there's a huge opportunity for us to use immersive technologies as a way to deepen conversations with others and within ourselves as well, right? Because we all have that creator inside of us, and that creativity can be used to further explore both our mental and emotional health. So thank you all for sharing that. And getting into our next question is, what are some of the benefits and also the risk of using immersive technologies in long-term care settings? Brian, you want to start first this time, since you, as a builder also of some of these worlds, how do you see some of the benefits and risk?
Sure. Yeah. And in long-term care settings, I love this question. I actually used to sell long-term care insurance. So I was in insurance markets and understand this product intimately and how people insure for this. But overall, this is an important space where we can help, again, keep the mind busy. So we know that keeping the brain active, and especially with immersive technology, we have the ability to tap into kind of nostalgic things and recreate and simulate scenarios that are very familiar and are comfortable and are controlled in a way, and can be safe. So that is one benefit to the technology, is we can deliver very, very emotionally compelling experiences for individuals who otherwise have limited mobility now and couldn't necessarily maybe travel to those spaces or times, right? So we can travel back in time or forward. But some of the risks are that there is the fear hurdle that you need to get over. So there's a conversation that needs to be had in many cases, that these are tools and we have to inspire the appropriate usage of them and even the willingness to try. And so many times we say, oh, we don't like the food, right? And I think what we need to do is a lot of times remind people that the food at the buffet has changed. Right. And to not just say, oh, I'm this person, but to challenge their own abilities to learn new things and to get involved in these things. But that's really just presenting it over and over again and giving people that option. So we have to arrive every day to give people options that aren't too scary. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you said about the buffet. I'm kind of a cook myself, you know, in my free time. So the number of people I have liking mushrooms that then they say that they like mushrooms, you know, it's like, you know, I gotta try again. But in terms of benefits, I just think so much about the future, and in order for us to create the type of future that we do want to live in, you have to once again be able to see it. And so to be able to put people through, you know, choose your own adventure style experiences where they say this is what they're interested in, and then to immerse them into a world that starts to share and show the possibilities of their world, and then even, you know, kind of bakes in that's the beginning with the end in mind, and walks us back to where they are today, and does this over, like, you know, over a long period of time, maybe similar to like playing type game. That is an incredible benefit that can you know, that's already happening with some of these tools. Now, on the reverse side of this, I don't know how many people saw the movie WALL-E, but it was about a future where people were all huge and sitting in the chair, and they just, you know, had the glasses on, and then they didn't go out, and, you know, nobody's going to talk to girls, and everything is all just inside this virtual world. And I'm terrified of that possibility, because right now, just with the level of immersion we have on iPads and things to that effect, people are giving their kids iPads at 2 years old and just letting them immerse themselves in just this two-dimensional thing. And there's all kind of studies that show that this is not good for the development of young people's brains. So I think that the risk are not having enough people say, okay, this is for a fully developed brain, or this amount of time for a brain that's not fully developed, but not allowing people to just go in, stay in, and then not understand how to operate in the real world.
Wow, I have the notion that with people like you, the let's say the benefits will hopefully address directly the risks, because if we are getting to the awareness, as you just pointed out, Jamal, that there is a huge danger that we find ourselves constantly immersed in these worlds, and that we address that from the very beginning. Now this coming up as more tangible ways of venturing into the digital realms that are limitless, so to speak. I have the notion that fostering the connection, the real interaction, and fostering, getting back to the understanding what subtle energies actually are through immersement. We can show that through immersement in a way that we could not show it. We can show that everybody has a beating heart on the spot, you know, in a simulation, and actually, and then have an approach to reality that then lifts or takes away the risk of actually forgetting that we are talking to human beings when we are back in reality, and then actually can remember that our reality consists of just connecting in real life to the best possible extent. And so I know that many people would say, well, you're not really speaking in favor of virtual reality, because I have the notion that we won't need it at some point anymore. You know what I mean? Because we will get back to a level, we can foster a level of understanding of what reality actually can be through getting the subtle energies back and running, up and running. I mean, they're here. We just lost it to a certain point. And I love what he said about prosumerism. These aspects will exactly lead to, oh, what is she doing? Wow, that's up my alley. And you know, and we have communication again. That's hopefully bringing us together instead of you know, polarizing our lives.
Yeah, that's great. Mary Lee, would you like to add some insights into this question?
Well, I think from a practical standpoint, as long as we consider immersive technology to not necessarily be a replacement, but to be a support. And I think of a couple of use cases for that. One is, in physical therapy or any type of physical rehabilitation. The gamification of simply walking on a treadmill to making certain movements with even the upper body or the lower body in a way that is beneficial to recovery from injury, from stroke, from traumatic brain injuries, things of that nature that a lot of people in a long-term care setting might be in need of. Another way that I know I personally, not in a long-term care setting, but as a surgical intervention, I had a very major knee surgery 2 years ago. And one of the ways that I really helped to distract myself, it was very painful, but especially late at night, in the middle of the night, I've taken my pain medication, it hasn't kicked in, or I'm not due for any for quite a while. And I used a headset in different ways for either games or, just kind of breathing techniques to help be a non-pharmacological treatment of my pain. And so that was just my own personal anecdotal experience with that. So I could see this being a way to help support those who might not have the mobility, might not be able to travel. They can, use wander and explore places that they never had the chance to, or that they're no longer able to. So I see it as a way of supporting and enhancing rather than replacing.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you for sharing those real world insights that you used for your own healing. Really, I think that's really interesting. And I want to skip forward to the question of how might immersive environments be designed to reduce stress and promote relaxation? We're a panel full of designers here and artists, and I think we can just provide a future where we're able to really create worlds that are conducive for relaxation and stress, and not just consumerism, as Brian mentioned. So I'm curious, what do you all think? What are some design strategies that we can use to reduce stress and promote relaxation with immersive environments?
I guess I'll start and say that I recently went into an Apple store to try on the Vision Pro. And I had done this with a Quest before and I enjoyed it. But something about the Vision Pro and like I'm breathing and the thing is moving as I'm breathing, and it's something like it, and I'm looking around, something about that immersive nature of it. Like I took the thing off and I was kind of like buzzing, like it made me feel phenomenal. And just looking at various different studies that show the effect that these devices and that this technology has, it says that I've been trying to meditate on a regular basis for the whole of my life, and I'll have times where I do and times where I don't. If I had that $3,500 machine, I think I would do it every day because it's more sticky. You know what I mean? There's something about it that feels that much more intense. And so on one hand, I would love to be able to look at the man in the mirror and just, meditate 30 minutes a day like they say I'm supposed to. But I do feel like the devices, and it's been proven that to Mary's point with physical therapy, things to that effect, that people stick to the plans associated with things that are augmented by virtual reality more than they would in just doing like regular physical therapy or regular meditations.
I will say that one of the games that I enjoy, it's a free game, so it's something I also provide and recommend to my faculty when I want them to get used to it, is bait, which is just a simple fishing. But it is so non-stressful and so easy to do and relaxing. I find it to be a great way to distract myself if I've had a really tough day or I just want something that's kind of brainless. It's a great way to promote relaxation. So I always encourage people to look for those types of applications as well.
Talking about applications, I'm a huge fan of Blue Planet VR. It has not a high it's not very popular among gamers because they are all looking for, well, where is the enemy, or where can I engage with some, but the pure display of nature and of geology and canyons, and my friend Eric Hansen is doing that app, and he's such a dedicated photographer, a photogrammetry artist, and I find this to be just an amazing way how to wind down and be in awe and look at nature. And although you're not in nature, but you get close to these wonders of nature. And I have the notion that what you mentioned, Jamal, the breath, and before you, Mary, I'm really in awe about the fact that breath as a tool for us humans comes into the game. And one of the biggest impacts that VR had on me was when I was doing Trip, the VR application and was breathing in, and those particles actually came towards me. Particles came towards my mouth, and I do breath work quite a bit in order to keep myself in check and foster just clarity. And I wouldn't want to miss it anymore. But that was one of the moments where I felt that the design of the interactivity is just very spot on, and we need more of that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, everyone said it here. We're understating how amazing these things are getting and going to get. It's almost like we live in utter decadence because of these things, and where we've gotten with technology that we've got too much time on our hands to even think about these things. In fact, that's what's beautiful, is we have so much heavy lifting being done for us, but we need to actually redefine like what it is we need to be doing. A lot of us, I think, are feeling anxious with like, what's next? If everything is this interactive digital physical world, like what are our economies? And that's kind of what I was trying to tap into, is you're always going to have like this game theory that goes on, and there's certain legal and tons of social and faith-based frameworks that have already taken hold. But we can slowly present information, right, to people in such a beautiful way that they won't be able to look away. As being noted, it's kind of like we are trying to screw a new screw into a mechanical horse, and the automobile is coming. Once we can transverse space and time and distort that, right? And in the long-term care setting, that's what's beautiful about that as well, is the ability to just transverse space and time very easily. And when you present this with the level of fidelity and photorealism that we were talking about, that those photogrammetry experts are helping us get, your brain doesn't know the difference, right, at all. And I think those of us who have experienced even like 3D video on Oculus or things like that, I mean, I did the space station one a few days ago, right? Where you go out on the space station and you do a spacewalk. I cried. It was beautiful. It was the most like enriching experience I've ever had. I mean, it was incredible. I'm not going to probably ever be able to be up in space, but that's about as close as my brain's going to get to believing that until we create another version of that just blows my mind even more. But the point is, we need to remain open to accepting the beautiful gifts that are coming our way and being grateful. And I think that's where we'll have time to like redefine how grateful we are for some of these things as we learn to use these tools a little bit better.
I just wanted to quickly say, like, I'm grateful for what you just said, because you brought me to again, I'm fascinated by where we're going with this thing. We haven't even talked about, what it's going to be like when you have on the suit, so that, so now it's not just what you're looking at and what you're breathing, when the sensations, when the touch, and like when all of that comes, again, there's like really fantastic things, and then there's parts that I worry about. But hopefully we as a people can can come together and allow our better angels to direct us in the direction where we use it to create the level of empathy that everybody's talking about. And where literally it's how do you go and look at the Mayan ruins in a place that you couldn't be and not find some level of gratitude about it? So we will be able to give people some incredible experiences.
Well, it's already here, Jamal. It's already right in front of our faces. I have microchips on my fingernails that track dexterity and different movements and things. So we're here, and I'm telling you right now, the stuff that's coming to market, you won't necessarily even have to have these bulky headsets or even a pair of glasses if you don't want. There's going to be wristbands that are thermal imaging. They're looking at all the small dexterous movements in your fingers. You're just going to wear like a small band or a small wearable, and it's going to govern so much of this. So, I mean, these things are getting, really, really elegant. But I'm sorry to kind of take this for a step further, but it's marrying the art and culture with these things. Like, for instance, we have these little pocket ducks, and these have an NFC chip in them. So very similar, like to the one on my fingernail, these are wearable fashion patches. So how do we make it easy and accessible to put this in somebody's hands and introduce them to immersive technology with a really low stakes physical object, right? So there's so many ways to get into all of this, and it's not necessarily just a headset, right?
Yeah, so cool. I'm loving this conversation. It's amazing, and I'm curious on this next question about the role of immersive technologies for positive lifestyle changes. Because Jamal earlier mentioned just the scene from WALL-E where people are just sitting still, not doing anything. And I think we can all agree that's not what we want for our future. What we do want is more human connection, more human touch, more community. And so what do you all think is the ideal role that immersive technologies will play in promoting positive lifestyle changes? Not all at once.
Well, I'll jump in again very briefly, but digital twinning. So having a digital twin version of you and being able to say, what if I don't run and I eat a pack of Oreos every day for the next 6 months? Like, what will that do to me? What will that look like? What will my blood pressure be? You'll be able to run those scenarios. And we talked about simulation, right? This is just simulation. So we can simulate hurricanes hitting buildings in New York. We can simulate, hurricanes hitting you. So I think that digital twin technology of the self is really going to allow you to better understand and tap in to the very complex and beautiful system that is your body that you ignore so much on a daily basis and wonder why things are going wrong. So I think, that's number one, a really obvious one.
I know of one example. It's a community of older folks, and they are meeting together in Horizon Worlds, and it's Thrive Pavilion, and it's connecting people from all around the country who may be living alone. They may have lost a partner. They may not be near their children. They could be in a long-term care setting, but they're coming together. They're having book clubs and playing cards and doing bowling. And it's just, again, keeping those brain active, keeping them physical in many ways. Maybe their mobility is limited, but I really feel that has such a potential to have, as our community is aging, as it really give them an opportunity to still be engaged both mentally, emotionally, and physically with peer groups that they might not be able to otherwise. So that to me is something that I think is just a really positive lifestyle change.
What comes to mind in my life experience so far is that normalizing grief, for instance, with technology it can be can lead to letting go of things that we not necessarily have to furthermore drag around, or just be aware of, well, there is something that we have to work on and work with. So I have the notion that if we have the possibility to have a mausoleum, for instance, or that's maybe the wrong word, but places of remembering people that we are standing on the shoulders of giants anyway. So why not recognizing that and having these people that have been working on things before us, and actually the success that we are having is based on them. Why not venerating that, and to a certain degree just have places where we remember these people, and then we might understand how epigenetics work on us. And why am I interested in knitting? Well, grandma was knitting and she was very knowledgeable about, and I mean, it's a I don't want to go too much into the past, but just necessarily have a notion about what was happening, so we can step into a future with a certain evolution, let's say, in our lifestyle, and fostering positivity. And I think technology, immersive technology as such, allows us to visit those spaces and venerating to a certain degree ideas and values that have been created and have prevailed and still have us on a certain path that is fostering unity. And well, there's so many aspects to it, but that's just coming to mind in my case. There is a tool out there now that's called Rival Space. I highly advise you to, I would say, take a look at it. It's really beautiful. It's a three-dimensional space that has you coming up with portals, and you can involve 3D objects. It's just a very immersive space. From the PC, you can go in there and talk with people and avatars. It can be a really good way to meet up with others, for instance, and also that in hindsight of people that were here before, because there can be material or a film running about someone who did a certain thing, and you get to educate each other about that personality.
And I guess I would just quickly say, this relates to the digital twinning. What if somebody, they don't have the best relationship with themselves, but, somebody else's digital twin that they really, really admire. Jalen Brunson is a Knicks guard that, everybody in New York loves him right now. A young person, he might not have time to say all the things to all the people, but if the combination of the AI and VR can kind of create his avatar in a way where Jalen Brunson's having a conversation and coaching up this young person, that could be the difference between them going out and doing next to nothing and them saying, you know what, let me get down and take some shots.
Yeah, and it's being safe about those things, though. It needs to be the sanctioned version of that person, which is where like safety, privacy, encryption, and like blockchain comes in.
Yeah. Love that. This has been a great panel, and we have about a couple of minutes left. So I'd like to give everyone the opportunity to give some closing remarks on, on this topic that we shared today, healing hearts and finding joy through XR. Let's do it. Whoever wants to go first, we'll just go around the horn.
Well, I will say that one of the things that really has brought me joy in the XR space, and it's very simple. Whenever I travel somewhere that I've never been before, I will, again, go into my headset and I will bring up an app like Wander, and I will just walk and explore the area. I love the anticipation of a new space and a new experience. I don't necessarily want to know exactly what to expect, but I do love to have a glimpse of that. And I recently was in Spain for a week, and I'd never been to Spain. And so some of the places that I knew we would be going, I brought up and had a sense of, did that look like a place that I would enjoy? Would I feel safe? Just that little bit of assistance and support. And that's been a delightful way for me to experience the world.
So good.
Well, I'll jump in. Thank you so much for having me for all of this. I just seek to help others authentically represent themselves. And I think that in creating a more interconnected, transparent world where we arrive with critical thinking and reason, and we band together and we create behaviors that promote a generation of regeneration, right? Learning and constantly adapting. We need to show people that they are relevant and that they do have a place even in this chaotic digital age. So really, we try to express that through parallel worlds and giving people the tools to be able to take control back and create some more structure around their digital and physical presence. Thanks, guys.
So, I'll say thank you, Mary, because I'm going to Belize tomorrow and I'm going to go Wonder and check that out. And the generation of regeneration, I absolutely positively love that. Thank you to everybody. I'm going to be in touch on LinkedIn because, you guys are amazing. I got all kind of notes to learn from. I say as often as I can to anybody willing to listen that civil society is not promised, that we are currently in the process of taking for granted what it means that and that we can break this whole experience of the world. The panel is called Healing Hearts and Bringing Joy. And I want to consistently remind people that we do not have to be always like-minded. But if we are like-hearted, then we can start to move in the direction of creating the type of world that we all want to live in. And these technologies can be an enabler and an advancer of that. So thank you guys for all sharing this stage, and appreciate you, Christian.
Of course.
I celebrate you all. It's really lovely to understand that. Well, there's a like-heartedness happening, and throughout this whole morning, I have the notion that we really share values to a high degree. But there's some certain things I would want to question, and I think that's also a part we might want to address. So if critical thinking is having us come up with doubts, we should address those doubts, but not from a point of view where we are pointing fingers at it. It should just be an exploration that helps 2 generations from now to actually have more authenticity and get into this life, just leaving this realm a tiny little bit more instructed, and leaving this world a tiny little bit a better place than we found it. I think that's a pretty much noble plan, let's say, to go through life with.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I love each and every one of you, where they are at with their endeavors and findings. Let's keep in touch.
Well, I'm grateful to be able to moderate this panel. Mary Lee, Jens, Jamal, Brian, it was a pleasure. And best of luck with all of your endeavors and everything moving ahead. And GatherVerse community, thank you for this time.
Could we get a quick smile and picture with the team here?
Only if you share.
All right, I took a couple of screenshots. I will share with you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. And thank you,
everybody.
Christian. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
And thus it was. The conclusion of day 1 of XREvolve GatherVerse Summit 2024, our 22nd summit. A lot was said today. We encourage you to reach out, to replay, to share, perhaps like and subscribe wherever you're at, to send us a note, a kind note, to let people know what you've gained, and if anything, to live what you've heard. We have day 2 tomorrow. There's much to be able to cover, which will be action-packed. Remember, as we conclude, that at the intersection of innovation and human betterment is community. And innovating for human betterment is never a bad thing. We thank you for your time. We hope the very best for you and your families as you move on in this world. We hope that something was gained of substance. Our gather was well, and upon tomorrow, with everything that we're doing, may our gather be well.
She sold my new blue jeans. My father was a gambling man, down in New Orleans. Now the only thing a gambler needs is a suitcase and a trunk. And the only time he's satisfied is when he's on a drug. Oh, mothers, tell your children not to do what I have done. Spend your lives in sin and misery in the house of the rising sun. Well, I got one foot on the platform, the other foot on the trail. Going back to New Orleans to wear that ball and chain. Well, there is a house in New Orleans they call the on.